top of my feed on Instagram. I'm not sure how to do this. Can y'all mute your phones until it's time for you to talk, please? All right, this background. Just 1 minute, y'all. Setting up all my other channels because we're new at this. And I still don't see where to chime in on Instagram. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do it Instagram because it says it's supposed to show me some link. You are live. Once you are live, if your stream is public, you'll find it at the top of your feed on Instagram. But I don't see it. Anyways, hey y'all, hey. We are live on YouTube right now. So thank y'all for being with us. We are just getting ready to get started. Oh, there's Asia. Just getting ready to get started. Just give us one moment. This is our first time streaming on several platforms. So if you are on Facebook, welcome. If you are on Instagram, we are trying to get you brought up. You say on the news feed. Okay, here's the feed. Live. I don't know. We're not showing up, y'all. So okay. Unfortunately, we're not going to be on Instagram tonight. Hey, y'all. Hey. Okay. Let me bring the team up. And so you might see our heads doing a whole lot going on tonight, but I promise you, this is going to be an amazing show this tonight. I got feedback on TikTok. Thank you. Okay, so let's get ready. First of all, thank you so much for joining us for Pi Talks. I am your CEO and founding president, Arike, and with us we have some really dynamic young ladies that I love to call my butterflies. And so we have Ashley Thomas, who is in San Antonio, Texas. You can't see her. She's the one on TikTok. She has a little mouse face there going on. And on YouTube, you see she just waved to you. And so we also have Rashani, and Rashani is joining us from Georgia. And so Rajni just waved at y'all. And we have our newest butterfly, Asia, who is chiming in from Florida. Okay. And so we are so excited to be here tonight to just be able to have this discussion, because I don't know if you're following or paying attention, but so often we are bombarded with toxicity when it comes to love. When it comes to love, not just love between a man and a woman, but or a woman and a woman or a man and a man, not just romantic is what I'm trying to say, but love in sisterhood. How do you treat your sisters? How do you treat your brothers? What about the children in the community that aren't yours? What about if you're engaged in a family that is a mixed family, How do you treat the person that's no longer in the family? How do you treat the stepfather or the father or the mother? How do we treat people? Because real love, true love, is a character, it's an essence, it's the way that we carry ourselves. And with that being said, we're going to get ready to start the journey. But before we start the journey, if it starts to feel uncomfortable, please know, take care of yourself, stop, breathe. We are going to be talking about trauma. We are going to be talking about some things that could possibly cause you to, you know, feel a little uneasy. And if that does happen, please take care of your nervous system, regulate yourself, breathe, whatever you need to do. If you need to dismiss yourself, feel free as well. Also, feel free to comment and to speak back to us. We are here to also listen to see what the community has to say to us as well. So, with that being said, we are going to to get into this topic tonight. So again, welcome to Pi Talks. So tonight, as stated, we're going to talk about true love versus trauma bonds. Um, and as we move through this, we're going to pause so a few sisters can ask some questions. And again, if feel free to ask questions to us in the comment section as well. Unfortunately, on uh, YouTube, I see that we have somebody watching, but I don't see any questions. So forgive us if we miss your questions on YouTube and on Facebook because we can't see y'all there either. Okay. Hold on a second. Sorry. Hold on one second. I'm not where I'm supposed to be. Okay. All right. All right. Here we go. Again, thank you for being with us. This is Pi Talks. And again, tonight's conversation is titled True Love versus Trauma Bonds. And we're going to talk about how to identify love that is rooted in safety, respect, and truth, not survival and dysfunction. So, this conversation, I also want to make clear, is not about blaming men, it's not about blaming women. Trauma is not gender bias, and dysfunction is not gender bias either. And healing requires honesty on all sides. So if you've ever confessed intensity or confused intensity for intimacy, which I think we all have done, survival for connection, or sex for love, you're you're in the right place, and I want you to know that you're not broken. You're basically here, and we're responding now to what a lot of us have been taught just in society, right? Society, every show you look, they switching boyfriends, switching men, from soap operas. Even when I was younger and watching General Hospital and all my children and things like that, it was always drama. And if you watched it long enough, people that were with somebody sooner or later is with somebody else, you know what I mean? And they're all in the same circle still, and everybody's kind of sleeping with everybody. And so a lot of dysfunction that we have seen and has been projected to us through media and music. And so we want to, let you know that a lot of us have been there and have confused these things. And that's why we want to talk about it tonight. So tonight we want to remember what love actually is. So first, let's talk about what is a trauma bond. A trauma bond is an attachment that forms through survival, not safety. It develops when we connect through chaos and inconsistency, right? When it's based off of fear, when it's based off of abandonment, when it's emotional hunger, I crave for somebody else's attention, when it comes from unresolved wounds. Trauma bonds feel very intense. So it's not because love is present, but because the nervous system is activated. So let me say that again. Trauma bonds feel intense, not because that's true love, but because your survival, is activated. Your nervous system is activated. Something doesn't feel right. The Young and the Restless was my soap opera for real. And that's exactly what they made us, young and restless, right? Showing us all that stuff. And so trauma bonds are not peaceful. We know this, right? When we're in those relationships and it's everything but peace. You might have a couple of good days, but them explosive conversations and just all of that creates actual more trauma and more hurt. It's not peaceful, and everything feels urgent. Everything's gonna be on fire. So if you feel anxious, if you feel confused, if you feel afraid, excuse me, of losing someone, so much so and so early on that you start to attach yourself to them and to try to morph into what they need you to be, losing yourself. This is survivor. This is trauma bonding. Any questions so far?
Yeah. How can you tell the difference between someone feeling excited and being trauma bonded like so early on?
That's a very good and important question. Thank you for asking, Ashley. Um, Excitement still allows us to breathe, right? When we're excited, like waiting to exhale, we're exhaling. We're not holding our breath about anything. Trauma bond creates anxiety where you're starting to worry. You're starting to second guess yourself. You're not feeling secure in yourself. Um, Excitement, when we're excited about something, we feel light, right? Childlike. Trauma bonding feels urgent, it feels rushed. And when we're excited, we also are very curious. We want to know everything. I know everything about him. What you like to eat, what you like to listen to, what movies you like. And you're grounded and you're open and it flows and they're flowing back with you, right? It's not just one-sided. But he wants to know, or she wants to know, what is your favorite colors? What is, the exploration is not work, but it's enjoyable. It's grounded. It's open communication. But when it's trauma, things feel like you're walking on eggshells, right? That you're afraid to slow down. You're afraid to ask the questions that you need. You're afraid to say no. But I want to let you know, remember this. Love does not rush us. And we're going to get into that a little bit more as we continue to talk it out. So any other questions before I go on?
Yes, I have a question. So, what does safety and love actually feel like in the body? I think a lot of us don't know what that feels like.
Okay. Hey, Tish. I see your comments in the YouTube. Y'all, this is Tish that I've been wanting y'all to meet, the young lady that does the healing and the yoga from Tony Jones. Remember I told you about Tisha, and so she's actually on right now. So she's got a lot of things going on, and so one day we'll be able to meet her and get her on and share some of all the goodness that she has for the community as well. So yeah, Rosh, thanks for asking. What does safety and love actually feel like in our body? Safety feels calm. Again, it's peace. Safety is this is not safety, right? If you're always tense, safety is your shoulders are down, right? Safety is you can breathe slowly because when you're upset, think about when you're upset, you're holding your breath or you're hold on because your heart's beating so fast, like all these things of signals of distress is your body is speaking to you, right? And then your mind is clear. It's not confusion. You're not wondering, is this person here? Is this person here to hurt me? You're not wondering when this person says, hey, I'm going somewhere. Is he really going there or is she really going there? Is, you there's no lack of trust. Trust has not been broken. So you have peace. You have clarity. You don't feel confused. You don't feel like you have to perform either. You can just be yourself. You can be your corny self. And it's going to be all right, Raj. You can tell them jokes, right? It is going to be all right, right? It is going to be all right. They're going to laugh at it. They're going to love your quirkiness. You don't have to try to perform is what I'm trying to say. You don't have to feel like you have to prove yourself. So many times as women, well, let me speak for myself as a young woman. I'm a good woman because why? Because I buy my man his stuff. I buy wardrobes, I'll do this, I'll do this. I do. Why? Trying to prove to somebody that you're a good woman, trying to prove to somebody that and in essence, really what it's telling that man is you're really not secure about yourself. You're really not. If he knows how he really is and he's not really giving you solid, and yet you're treating him like the king, you're treating him like the emperor, and he's not even have to prove his worth. Yeah, they'll stick around. But the reality is, if that person is not forthright and that person has not really come into true love, that can become a very manipulative type of a situation. And so knowing that I don't have to perform, I don't have to give things to prove my worth. And not only that, but when we give mutually. He enjoys buying me stuff. He enjoys giving things to me. It is a mutual exchange, and it makes you feel good, and it makes you feel good. Safety feels steady, right? It's not that roller coaster ride where I don't know where we're going. Today we're doing good. Tomorrow I say something, and next thing you know, we're arguing or fighting. It's not that up and down. For brothers, the same thing applies for you. This is not gender based. It is not gender based. One day she's cool, the next day she is flipping the script on you. And it's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's not healthy. That's chaotic. That's chaotic. And chaos belongs on our list of pseudo love. So if your body's always on edge, then that might not be where you're supposed to be. So let's talk about how do they kind of get us? How do we keep getting caught up? How do people keep getting caught up? Well, there's something called mirroring, right? And pseudo love loves to mirror us. So this is something happening in our world right now. We see people mistaking intimacy for um, sexuality. Like we're just missing it, right? And so basically, these are people that come into our lives and they listen very intently. What type of man you want? They're taking notes. What type of this? And they have a way of asking us questions to actually extract the information that we want. And then they become that, right? They become that. And the thing about that is they'll repeat what we want back to us. I know the type of man that you need. Yeah. Yeah, I know what you need. I know what you got. And they listen to us and they say it back, which means they're now mirroring our desires. They're repeating them back. They're studying what we say we want. But the truth of the matter is there's no depth in it. There's no consistency and there's no accountability. In pseudo love, even though it learns you, you have to understand that once you actually have taken that time to walk with true love actually already makes you whole. So you're not looking for these compartmentalized things and you can see the inconsistency. Because one thing pseudo love can't do, pseudo love cannot maintain the appearance of the image. And this is why, and this is why it's not just this is why in the beginning it seems like it's so good and then it starts to fall apart rapidly. And you're like, what happened? Right? You're like, what happened? But what happened is now all that stuff that you've seen, that love bombing, and now reality is coming because they're not really connected to true love. So they can't really walk out true love with you. And so now red flags start coming. And so when you're connected yourself already to true love, when those red flags start coming, you don't sink back into that pseudo love where you lose your voice, but you'll be able to stand, right? You'll be able to stand and say, this ain't it. You also have to remember pseudo love is quick. Pseudo love, quick on the sex. Got to get you into that bed. Got to get you into that bed. It's sexuality first, it's fantasy first. True love, please understand this, takes its time with us. Okay. I know I'm going a little fast. Hopefully that y'all are catching it. Are there any more questions? Let me slow down.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
um, how can someone spot when a person is marrying them versus genuinely loving or genuinely showing up as themselves?
That's a good question. That's a good question. How do we know the truth of the actual authentic one and the one that's going to fall apart on us in another 2.5 weeks, right? And again, as I said, because mirroring collapses over time, they're not going to be able to withstand. Words sound good early on, but their actions will not stay consistent with their words. Um, Again, true love doesn't have to perform in alignment because it lives it. So pay attention to what someone does, especially when you set boundaries. And if they're always going outside of the boundaries, that's a good giveaway. Um, Delays. Oh, it's taken, I need time. I need this or discomfort. Pay attention How would a person get themselves out of a long-term trauma bond? Is it healable? It is absolutely healable, Tish. Absolutely healable. And with that, I would definitely say being with and finding somebody that you can walk with, a sister, a good friend, a family member that you can walk with, that you can talk with, that you can that's not judgmental. You understand? If you don't have anybody, I would say draw yourself back into your quiet place and go back to that place of sitting and being quiet and being still and seeking, because it I used to tell my girls one or two things are going to happen when you finally decide to stand up for yourself. That man is either going to get right for you or he's going to get left. But either way, in the process, you find yourself. And in finding yourself, you have the strength. So if he walks, it's okay. If he turns around and gets it together because he understands true love too, and maybe, sometimes you don't understand that there's still some things you're working on until you get with another person. So it's not like the minute that you get with somebody and something goes bad, it's like, oh, that's a trauma bond. And you want to actually take that time, right? To take that time to heal together. But if it's not working like that, if it's only one person always giving the effort, if it's only one person, and then that one person is starting to feel like there's something wrong with me because of this, I'm not getting the attention, whatever, that is the first sign to say, you know what, baby, I need some time to myself. That is the time where it says, hey, I'm to make those calls, to stop picking up the call every single time that person calls, and to stop putting that distance beside yourself. And again, this is why we have 5 S's and a C, that's me. This is why we have this community, so that you have sisters that are like-minded, that you can walk with, that will protect you, and that will hold you, and that will love on you. But it absolutely is something that we can get out of. We have all been in one point at a time or another in a trauma bond relationship. Okay. And so you absolutely can get out of it and find happiness. Okay. So back to Asia's question. Sorry, Asia, I had a question in the YouTube chat. So yours, how can someone spot when somebody's mirroring and when someone genuinely is showing up for yourselves? And again, I say mirror, it collapses over time. They will not be able to maintain it. They will not be able to be consistent. Their words will sound great, but they will not be able to maintain it. Their character will begin to change. So pay attention. Again, when you set boundaries, pay attention. And remember, true love stays steady. It's not to say that we will never have a disagreement. It's how we have the disagreement. True love doesn't bring harm. If I'm having a disagreement with you, you're not an effing idiot, and I shouldn't be an effing B. You see, there's a way to still have a disagreement, but to still do it with love. And to make that agreement. See, true love wants to love. You see? True love wants to love. True love wants to have the essence and the character. And so when there's normally that fight or struggle, it's normally because somebody is not being forthright. Any other questions, Ashley?
Yeah. So another question. Why do people who haven't healed often attract partners who seem perfect at first?
Good question. Why do the healed attract the sick? And the sick attract the healed. Isn't that something? You'll know this girl and she'll be like, oh, she's such a good girl, and her boyfriend's an idiot. And then you find that, oh, he's such a good man, and the girl's an idiot. And you're like, why can't we just match up? Well, I don't know. But I will say this. Unhealed people draw to things that are familiar to them. Doesn't necessarily mean it's in alignment, though. They do want love down deep. They just haven't did the work. But down deep, they do want love. And then also, trauma feels familiar. It feels like chemistry to some people that have not got their nervous system fixed, and they just can't help but be in chaos. The little boy on, I'm dating myself here, but I know that y'all have these shows that you can go back in time. But Charlie Brown, and the little boy got the dirt around him no matter where he go. That is some people. Some people, and if we're not careful, because we too are looking, and if we're not careful, we will draw them in. They'll see the light, they'll see the love, they'll see that you can give them the compassion, you can make them first, and that's all the stuff that they want. But unfortunately, they have not done the work. They don't have to give it back, and that causes those in the light, if you're not careful and you continue to go down that path, to find yourself flickering and confused in all of this. And as women, let me just be mindful, though we're not just talking directly to women, but as women, we have been given intuition. That intuition is serious. And when you connect that to your spiritual, your divine self, that intuition will begin to protect you. Whereas before you say, okay, I see the potential in somebody, but when those red flags keep coming, you'll just, I don't care how good it look, how good it smell, taste, feel, whatever. If it's disturbing my peace, I'm going to let it go. That's how you know that you're starting to become healthy and you're leaning more toward true love and no longer pseudo love. And so it's familiar to them. As they say, misery loves company. And even though you're healing yourself, when you've been by yourself for a long time, it's easy to fall into that manipulation. So you have to really be careful to really pay attention to the signs when you get out there and start dating, to make sure that you're protecting yourself. Hopefully I answered that. Any other questions? All right. So let me go on.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Let me go on. So true love starts with us. That's the first thing that I want us to really understand. True love really starts with us. For me, true love begins with the relationship in myself, my divine self. That's where it really starts. When you allow our soul and not our wounds to guide us. Let me say that again. When we take the time to step back and to come back into self and to allow our soul to guide and not our wounds, because our wounds will put layers on our heart and will begin to turn us into somebody that we're not. So we don't never want to come out of something bitter, but we always want to come out of something better. And true love says, when I've encountered somebody that I've given myself to, and I thought this was true love, and then I found out that it's not, true love tells me I need to sit down for a minute and I need to assess the situation, not from the point of view of what that person did to me, but for myself. What is going on that I was still attracted to this? What is going on that I allowed myself to stay in this for 2 years, for 3 months, for, just things to assess about self, and just to really sit back. And sometimes it's not like you did anything bad, right? Somebody came and you're like, they presented, and they presented very well, and you went along with it, and then all of a sudden, boop, all that inconsistency, and you pull yourself back. That's what true love will do to you. That's what your spirit will allow you to do. And when you do that, there's no reason to be bitter. See, we get bitter when we go for the ride. When we see the red flags and we ignore the red flags and we go for the ride and we keep getting hurt, because what happened? Them layers are coming. Because now you hurt me. Now you're going to tell me that you're not. So now I'm going to trust you again, but I'm not really going to trust you. But I'm going to stay with you because out of fear of either being by myself or what my friends might say or my parents might say or blah, 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 blah. All the reasons that we give ourselves to stay. And then as we stay and that person's not changing, not going after our boundaries, not honoring our boundaries, not honoring that we're saying this hurts us, not honoring anything. And it just continues to put layers on you and you start to get bitter. And this is why now when something happens in the beginning, you say, oh, let's talk about it. Now you're like, and your nervous system is all because you don't let yourself get to that person that you're not supposed to be, and you're operating off of the wound. The wound can't heal. What hurts you can't mend you if they're not truly connected to true love. Because true love, we don't know each other. I might say something that might rub you the wrong way or might offend you. I might do something that you don't like. And you say to me, hey, babe, you're like, I'm not really digging. Well, true love says if it's not something that's taking from me, like the person, the essence of who I am, like for real, okay, babe, I could change that. Not a problem. It's easy. But it's when those boundaries and baby, that hurt me, and they keep doing it over, over, and over, and over. That is not true love. Okay? So again, it starts with ourselves. It starts with getting internal, being quiet, being still, taking that journey back into self, inward, so that you don't be duped outwardly. When you become love, you will attract many things, but it's your responsibility to hold fast. Okay? True love will not allow you to rest in the arms of pseudo love. Period. True love will give you warning. True love will show you things. It's up to us to discern. Any other questions?
Yes, I had a question. So you talk about true love starting with our divine self. What are some signs that someone hasn't done that inner work yet?
Ooh, good question. That's why we have PI. This is why we have Purifications International Enterprise. This is why we have 5 S's and a C. That's me. I know many of my sisters have not done this work yet. I know many of my younger sisters have not been taught or trained to do this work. I know, now, let me pull that back, because there's a generation out there, y'all generation, that are just doing things that I wish there would have been goddesses and all this other type of stuff around when I was growing up, you know? And so I see a lot actually of my younger sisters coming back to ancestral ways, coming back to, going out in nature and finding their divine self, whatever they want to name it, but they're finding it, and you can see the glow, and they're changing how they eat and just all these things. And it's a beautiful beautiful thing. But for those that have not started the journey yet, um, and those people, uh, some need constant validation, fear being alone. Uh, they react instead of respond. Um, these are people that normally have not sat down and did too much internal work. Because number one, it's not that when you really start getting in tune with yourself, it's not that you're like, I don't give a damn what people think anymore, but you don't give a damn what people think anymore. You know what I mean? It's I think it will always be like a little part of us when we do things like this, coming out in the open, that might be a little nervous about things. But I'm talking about people that constantly have to do things because they want people to see them and to validate them because they're looking for validation outside of themselves. Okay. So that's somebody that I would say, hey, listen, sit down, baby. Sit down. Let's do some breathing work. And let's it's okay. For those, you ever see sisters that or brothers that in a relationship and as soon as they're done, they're in another relationship? I mean, I seen this one brother and I'm like, Dad, he get married again. I swear he get married every 2.5, 3 years. Right. And I'm not gonna say his name because some of us know who I'm talking about. But at this one brother, from California, Sacramento. And I'm just like, every 3 years, I'm like, this man got another wife. What is that? And so, and the same thing with women. There are some women that just cannot be by themselves. If they break up with somebody, they immediately have to be with somebody. And there's no taking that time. When we said, when we break up, take a minute, breathe, sit back, analyze, get yourself together, get yourself stronger, spend time in nature, get in tune with your star player, right? And so those people that have to just run into those relationships are normally also people that have not really sat to do the inner work yet. People that respond react instead of responding all the time. Now, for us, and I know for me, that was like a mountain to climb and sometimes can fall back into, and have to really be mindful of myself. And so not reacting when I hear somebody say something that I don't like, right? Not being reactive. And so a lot of us come from a place where we felt as though we've had to fight, whether it be physically, spiritually, emotionally, whatever. And so when things come at us and when we have lost our voice somehow, we've lost our voice because we've been dealing with pseudo love and narcissist and manipulation and all this other type of stuff, or just in corporate America because you don't want to seem like the angry Black woman, and you quiet yourself. And so when that happens, sometimes we get defensive. And so when you're not used to speaking your truth, and let me say it for me, what would happen is, and what still happens if I'm not careful, is I start to feel uncomfortableness in my stomach. Somebody's saying something and it's triggering me. And I start to feel this uncomfortableness in my stomach, and then my heart starts to feel like it's beating a little bit more. And my mind just like, I got to say what I got to say. I got to say what. So I'm not even listening anymore. So that is somebody that's ready to react rather than somebody who is ready to respond to you. Okay. And so, and this is another great thing of how you know that you're walking in your spiritual transformation, is that you'll be able to see these things that you used to do and say, snap, I got to change that, because nobody is going to come and change it for you. That is your responsibility. And this is why singleness, this is why taking that time to be intimate, to be quiet, to go into self, to find the darkness within self, so that now creator can speak. And so this morning we were doing our meditative time this morning, and what was brought to me, I'll share with you, was it is in the dark spaces that creation comes. So even if you think of it from a biblical standpoint, there was darkness all over, and then God spoke in light. So the darkness has always been there, right? If you think, God say he took Adam, if you believe in the creation story, took Adam from the ground. Well, the ground, the light's not in the ground is underneath in the darkness. So there's something special about being able to disassociate ourselves with all that's going on in the world, to quiet ourselves, to not ask for anything, but to meet our divine self and to walk ourselves back into that darkness. Because if you close your eyes and you get into silence, true silence, what happens? It's dark. And so this is why the first thing that we start with is our breathing and our time of just sitting in the darkness, asking for nothing, and just increasing our time a little bit each week until we get to a place where we can sit and then say, okay, now I can hear and I can begin to write. So all of us at one point or another started in some of these areas that I read. But knowing that you're starting the work means that you're sitting with yourself and your spiritual connection. That's how you start. Because the people that are out here calling themselves this and that, but are not doing any work, are not really, truly honed in quite yet to true love and to continue down that path. Because as long as it's when you don't know, that's when you're completely blind. You just acting like a fool, and you just, not trying to change or whatever. Like, you don't care what nobody says. Like, that's somebody that's definitely not tapped in. But those of us that are tapped in doesn't mean that we're perfect. And that's what I'm trying to say too. The difference is we work on our stuff. We seek for it and we work on it. Hopefully that answered your question. Um, all right, let's see. Let's talk about now. Here's the big one that we don't talk about enough, and that's sex, energy, and the temple. Okay. So trauma bonds run to the bed. Know this. Trauma bonds like to run to the bed, but true love values the temple. Understand, sex is not casual. Sex is energetic. It's emotional. It's an actual spiritual exchange. And when we intertwine our temples, we have to take responsibility on who we're intertwining our temples with. Understand, fantasy is not intimacy. Just because they can flip you over and do this and do that and yada, 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 doesn't make it intimacy. The farthest thing from intimacy. Okay. Chemistry without safety is not love. Let me say that again. Even though we have the chemistry, we can get down. If the get down is good. Mwah! But if I'm not safe outside of that bed with you, if you've made nothing else safe except for when we are in the bed, is that really love? Is
Enrique,
that
sorry.
what happened?
I was going to ask you, How can you slow down sexually without fear of losing a person?
Ooh. If slowing down makes you feel like you're going to lose or they're going to leave, then it never was true love. It never was true love. True love respects timing. True love understands that my body's as just as precious as your body is, and therefore there's no pressure. So safety is always important, and yeah, safety is very important. Hmm. Any other questions? Did I answer that question for you?
Yes, thank you.
I have a question as well. I'm adding to my to the comment, but I guess I can say what I when I'm typing is that like as we're talking, I'm proud of myself because even though as you mentioned, it is a continual process and growing, but my last relationship I ended even though there was chemistry, right? Because I knew that it wasn't, healthy. I knew it wasn't true love. I knew it wasn't, something that I could really build on. So I'm like, yay, pat myself on the back, like, yay for growth. Uh,
Yeah, that's serious though, because you see yourself growing, and that's a beautiful, very beautiful thing.
yes. And so,
You know, and yeah, celebrate that.
so I'm like, whoop, whoop.
Celebrate that.
But my question to you is what does healthy sexual intimacy look like in a true love versus trauma bond?
What does healthy sexual intimacy look like
Yes.
in true love versus trauma bonds? Again, healthy intimacy is mutual. I think that's the biggest thing, is that it really is mutual. They enjoy making you smile just as much as you enjoy making them smile. Thank you so much for the goat. And it really should be, it's patient. I always tell people, I say, even though I've done all this work by myself and on myself for years, that once I get with somebody, it's really going to take that man to be patient with me and I with him, to understand that we might need a little extra in the beginning. He might need a little extra phone call. That's okay, because maybe the last two or three women he is with cheated on him. Maybe this is one of them good brothers that we were talking about, right? And now he comes into my life with a good woman, but maybe he has a little hesitancy because his heart's been hurt, and maybe he just need a little extra. And so I can either say, okay, that's annoying, or I can say, you know what? I can give that. I can give that to him. That's not a problem. Then the same with him. We're out. Maybe she needs me to, maybe she doesn't feel so secure with certain women around at the beach with their butts all hanging out or whatever, to say, you know what, it's okay because my eyes is only on you, to bring that reassurance, to know there's a way to let a woman know that I don't care if 50,000 women around, you the one. In the same respect as I said for the woman, for the brother. This is not one-sided where everything is mutual. So in respect, there's, like I said, there's a level of respect when you're walking down the street and you're with your dude, and there's always somebody better looking. There's always gonna be somebody better looking than you out there, right? And so you with your dude, and Mr. GQ, I don't know if they still call it that, but Mr. Suave walks by, and you're like, God damn, and your man, right? Like, no, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, absolutely not. It's a level of respect. It is a level of respect. how you carry yourself. Here's the other thing: when they're not around, when you can respect that person when they're not in your presence. So if I'm out at the store and a brother sees me want to holler, yo, ma, no, it's all right. Yo, 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 ma, yo, you know how they get down. They want to leave you alone, whatever. I'm not keying in their face. I'm not smiling at them. I'm not giving them no. I said hello and smile, and that's it. After that, you don't get the friendly and outgoing and no. Because for what? I know what you want. You know what you want. And I'm not available for that. So I'm going to protect my man as if he was standing right there beside me. That's the difference between true love and somebody that actually has connected with true love and has respect for the person that they're with. It doesn't matter if my husband has to go out of town for a week. I can sleep like a baby because I know he's got his ass in the bed sleeping like a baby too. Why? Because we done talked to each other all night till we went to sleep. It's not no wondering, oh, he ain't called me, so he out of town. No, it's respect. It's a mutual respect. And there's no pressure. There's no pressure about things. There's no need to be fearful of anything. And our emotional safety is before physical closeness. They make you feel safe. A lot of women say, well, how these women get these men? And she made him feel safe. She allowed him to be all aspects of a human. So if you had a hard day, she knows how to soothe or get the hell out the way, right? It's not about baby, talk to me. No, if he just need that moment and let him go in the man cave, get him his beer, his blood, his whiskey, whatever the hell he need, and go in the other room and be okay about it until he's ready. And it's vice versa with her. Sometimes we want to just jump into, because we see our partner uncomfortable. We just want to jump into stuff. And sometimes it's not ready. They're not ready to talk. And to not take that personal. True love says, it's okay, boo. Matter of fact, let me go run your bath water. Matter of fact, I heard you done had a bad day because you've been talking to me throughout the day. So when you get home, I'm going to have that tub and that bubble bath waiting for you. Because I just want you to relax. And you ain't got to talk. Just go on in there. Get them bubbles. And I'll see you when you get out. Matter of fact, I got the oils ready. And we're going to, give you a little massage and all of that. And just love on you. And that could be the man doing it for the woman or the woman doing it for the man. Okay? Healthy love is safety before intimacy. Because the safety comes and now the intimacy goes to a whole nother stratosphere. See, when real love is in between the sheets, things work differently than when it's pseudo love. Okay? All right. So singleness is also protection. I tell you guys that all the time. Singleness isn't, oh, I'm single. No, singleness is sometimes protection. It's not a curse. It is not a curse. Ask yourself, when was the last time you actually held yourself? I know for us, we could say earlier today, because I'm always saying, give yourself a hug, right? But think about that. When was the last time you actually just hugged on yourself? When was the last time you spoke kindly to yourself? Sometimes we are so hard on ourselves and we say the harshest things to ourselves. When was the last time you spoke kindly with yourself? The last time you spoke or you rested, I should say, you rested and just was able to rest and not worrying about things that you might have did or said that were wrong, resting without any guilt. And so my thing is, during this time of singleness, and even if you're with somebody, taking this time to give each other, to look inside and not to always be looking outwards. But singleness for sure is the time to look inside, to let our spirit talk to us and to cultivate us into the woman that we're supposed to be, that loving, that grounded, that woman, that nourisher that we're supposed to be. Um, and sometimes we don't always have the example. Sometimes we don't always have the role model as a woman to be there to show us that gentle side. A lot of us grew up having to survive, having to do things to survive. And so nobody really showed us how to, sit down and to walk back into ourselves, to walk back into that garden, to come back into that stillness where we're just sitting quiet. We're not asking for nothing. We're not begging for nothing. We are sitting with the intention of what of our breath, how we're breathing, how our nervous system is. And we are just coming back to that place of just that darkness, just that silence with the intention of going back to finding our divine self, our soul, our powerhouse of strength, and then to be able to listen, because again, in the darkness is where things are created. And so when we take the time to say, I'm shutting off the TV, I'm shutting off the music, and I'm just going to be quiet. And if you can do that outside, I know right now it's cold where y'all at. But when it gets nice again, was it nice out there in Texas today? Okay. When it gets nice, go find a tree, go sit in the park, take your shoes off and just sit. Go to the ocean. And when you go to the ocean, next time you go to the beach, before you just jump in the water and just start swimming and frolicking, I want you to really sit in meditation and thanks and gratitude and think about the ocean, the expansion of the ocean, and be able to get into the ocean and just kind of do some meditation and some prayers and some gratitude and see what happens for you. Okay. And so, again, stop looking outward. Everything that we've been taught is always we have to look outward, especially in this American westernized thing, even with religion. Outward, it's always outward. It's always somebody's got to do something. Somebody's got to touch me. Somebody's got to make me spend. I got to pay this. It's always something outward. But what I want us to do is to draw us back inward, because our first teacher comes with us. The first teacher comes within us, but we're just so disconnected. And this is why we're supposed to be in this world, but we're not supposed to be a part of the world. We're supposed to be, yes, engaged in this world, but we're not supposed to let the things of this world consume us. And that doesn't matter which spiritual sect that you are in, which spiritual tribe that you are in. If you are connecting to your divinity and your divine self, it should give you a character that is not like the majority that is out there in the streets right now. And out there in the streets right now is a bunch of pseudo love and people pretending that they have true love. You have a lot of labels, you have a lot of titles, you have a lot of man-made accolades, and these things are hurting people. And this is why we come together to do what we're doing right now. All right, anything else? We're almost there. Now we're
I have a
talking, it's going a
question.
little longer than an hour tonight, but this is really important, I think. So it's okay.
So I had a question.
Yes.
Um, so how do you help people reframe singleness when they feel lonely, or like when time is running out?
Hey, when time is running out, what is time? We put these restrictions on ourselves, and it's kind of silly, right? We think, oh, I'm getting too old. I'm still by myself, and that just leads you down a path of low vibrational stuff. But time is not running out. Remember, when we rush things because we feel like I can't be by myself another second, and we just rush into stuff that normally we regret it later on down the line. Now, not everybody, because I do know people, and we know people that have met and put a ring on that finger within 30 days, and they still rocking and rolling right now. But that's different. That's because both of them were ready for true love. Okay. Again, when people are ready for true love, it shouldn't take 5 years, 10 years, 11 years either. Uh-oh, my hold on. It's giving me the little thing. I got to do something. Okay. So, loneliness is also, it's a phase. It's a little thing that we go through. I go through it every now and then, but you don't stay in it. It's not a death sentence, you know. And there's a way to, for me, I'll just put some music on, and pump myself, put my manifestation music on, and just start thinking about all the beautiful works that I do in the community, you beautiful young ladies, all the wonderful things that we're doing, and just remind myself that the love that I'm really seeking for, I already have it. It doesn't always have to be romantic love. I have so much love, just from, the what we do. So, okay. Um Oh, Ashley has to go. Okay, she had a meeting. Is any other question? Let me talk about knowing when you're ready to love versus just tired. Um, Readiness is peaceful. It's not urgent. It's not rushed. It's not desperate. Like, I'm cool. Yes, you did miss the trauma bonding part. Sorry. But I mean, we're kind of still talking about it right now too. So, toxic love, like we said, also is not gender bias. So, toxic love is not just a man's issue or just a woman's issue. Both genders can control how we conduct ourselves. Both genders can avoid accountability, and both genders can confuse ego for love. So, as we were saying, this ain't no man bashing. We don't do that over here. Once I believed, like I said, I was a good woman because I performed love the way that, my circle and things that I thought taught us. I wasn't bad. I was just misinformed, you know. Um,
For
any other
sure.
questions? Yeah.
Yes, I have a question with that. So, how do we stay humble in our healing and not assume that we already know what love is or how to love or, you know?
Stay teachable, stay honest, you know, and always allow yourself the growth to correct. Like I say all the time, if you do something and you're like, "Dad, I did it again," even though you like something happens and I react before I respond, I'm like, "Dag, I did it again." But the difference is, you know it, and so because you know it, you can start working on that thing. It's a difference if somebody just does stuff over and over and over and doesn't learn from it. So staying teachable and allowing yourself to grow, which means I might have to make a few more mistakes, but it's okay. And remember, being nice and kind to ourselves. So dismantling love hurts. Love stinks. Yeah, yeah. You know, all these things they say. Love doesn't hurt. Trauma hurts. Dysfunction hurts. Immaturity acting like love hurts. But the lie that love is painful is not true. And we need to send that back to the pit of where it come from because it's not true. Any other questions? We're closing up. I need more questions. To take about one more question, and that's about it.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
So, how do we forgive ourselves for past trauma bonds while choosing better moving forward?
How do we forgive ourselves from past trauma bonds and heal moving forward with compassion for yourself, without shame? Don't punish yourself if you get caught up again. Um, honor your growth, as Raj was saying earlier, right? Raj was like, you know what? I see my growth. It was great. He had all the bells and whistles on the outside, but when it really came down to it, I didn't see nothing. So I had to walk away from it. And that's how you know that you are growing. And so, in closing, the benefits of true love. When two people who have encountered true love meet, life should become lighter, not heavier. There should be peace. There should be laughter, lots of laughter. Stability in your emotions should be stable. They shouldn't be all over the place. And there should be joy. And even after hard days, even when there's a disagreement, that there's a way that you find calm. The house is always aiming to be calm. Like there's a bond and agreement that you have made with each other to say, listen, we're not going to get up here and go to bed mad. Like nobody's sleeping on the couch, like none of that foolishness, you know? And so even after a hard day, that you know how to still come in. Have you ever seen the on TikTok where they're like the couples and they're like even then where they're mad at each other and she can't open the can or whatever, and he'll come and he'll open it and then he'll walk off. You know, have you seen that one? And so that's how true love should be. Even though I can't stand you and like I'm still washing your nasty drawers. I'm still doing the things that I need to do, even though I'm mad you can't stand you in that instant. But true love says we're going to push past this and we're going to still do what we need to do for one another. We're not going to make each other feel horrible or bad. Joy is still going to be there. So true love, I want you to know it's not rare. It's just really top nowadays. So a lot of people just don't know. But if I can say anything, I want to say this, that it definitely starts within. And it grows in our truth, being able to say your truth and stand in your truth. And it's the time when it's really time to return to promoting good love as a community, as a people. It is time for us to heal, and it's time for us to talk about the things really about true love and bringing true love back into our community. So thank you for being with us tonight. We really appreciate you and everybody that came in and that was talking to us on Facebook. Sorry if we missed y'all. I don't know where notifications are. Um, YouTube, thank you for being with us. And our Instagram, sorry, I guess we were streaming, and then it says it disconnected after an hour. So I don't know if we streamed on Instagram or not. But thank you all so much. Until next Monday, this is Pie Talks, and we will see you again soon. From our heart to yours. See you later.